Welcome back to Joy of the Hang. I am your host, Sharon Stevenson, and today's guest is someone who doesn't believe in the word declined. She believes in detours, in second chances, in bold ideas powered by better systems. Meet the First Lady of Finance, Kortney Farhat. After 20 years in equipment financing and authoring 3 books, she walked away from the expected path and chose legacy over comfort. Today, she's building a new era of lending, one where rejection is redefined. Collaboration is the new currency, and imperfect credit stories don't define a person's future. Through both her for-profit and nonprofit arms, she equips dreamers and doers, especially women, with the funding tools, education, and OPM, other people's money, strategies that they need to build boldly. Kortney is proof that sometimes the detour becomes the destiny. Let's hang. Welcome, Kortney.
I love it. Thanks, Sharon. I've been looking forward to coming on with you.
I have been really looking forward to this. It's been a few months in the making.
Yes.
We've been talking about it. So I'm super excited. So you've had a lot going on.
Yes. Life gets busy, as you know.
Yeah. So take us back. You spent 20 years in equipment financing.
Yes.
And what made you walk away from what was expected?
So I'll start with the mini story so you can kind of get a grasp of why. Well, I love fashion. And as I was young, growing up, I always wanted to have a clothing store. And so I did that when I was right around 20 years old. And I didn't understand the difference between personal credit and business credit. And I was in California, where there's quite a few fires, if you ever keep up with the news out there. And there was some smoke damage in my store, and I could not replenish all of the clothing and things I had in my store. My store was named Chaos with a K because it was chaotic how I purchased it and things like that. And so 3 years later, I had the decline and then had some credit issues because I didn't have any way to transform. And I got slowly into equipment finance, which I really didn't understand business lending, but I knew I could sell. And from there, I realized that there's a different arm to help entrepreneurs so they don't have to commingle their personal and business credit. From there, I grew within my business and I've never left because there's so many different things that we can teach entrepreneurs to assist them with a path of growth. And a lot of that has to do with other people's money, but which ones do you go and secure? Bank financing, the dangling carrot, private equity, there's a lot to know. So that's the basis of the beginning.
So very interesting. So you started a clothing store in your 20s.
Yes.
That's young. Did you have a business degree?
I actually graduated from Northwood University, which gave me a business degree in marketing and advertising, and it was a bachelor in business. But I wouldn't say that that's where I was educated. I would say it was in true life form. I had never owned a clothing store. I loved to make people look beautiful, but I had no idea how to run the cash register. And the first clothing I sold was marked up from TJ Maxx. So it was literally a dream come true to make people look beautiful and give them the energy that I knew that they could have from the beautiful woman in the great shoes who didn't have pennies to roll together, but she knew she belonged in that room.
So you ended up taking clothes from TJ Maxx, putting them in your store, so you didn't even know about wholesale?
No.
At that point?
No.
So you tell me, like you just went into an open space and leased the space and said, I'm going to sell clothes or
it was very similar. So I was selling mortgage and wholesale mortgage
in your 20s.
In my 20s.
Okay.
And I was on Coast Highway and there was a little store called the Killer.
Okay.
And she had glued moss all over the front of the store and the moss was pretty dead. And I walked in and she was 9 months pregnant, literally ready to have her third baby. And it was about 90 some degrees out that day. And I remember her saying, I said, yo, you're a store owner. I've always wanted to do this. And she said, do you want to buy it? I can't do this anymore. I was like, yes. And then I came home and I called my parents and I grabbed everything I had saved and they went in halfway with me and said, we will, help. And my mom flew out and we painted the building pink and named it Chaos because it was strictly chaos.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So it was just born out of a moment where you said yes.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yep.
I mean, I think that's a great lesson for people.
Yes. And I should have probably known how to use the cash register because the first time I charged anything, I actually gave them $800 in clothing and $800 because I accidentally
Did it
credited the
refund?
account. Yeah, so you learn through your own mistakes, but it was a really fun opportunity.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was that person's lucky day.
Yes, it was.
Your loss was their gain, so to say, so
It
to speak.
was.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So you just kind of learned on the
I did.
job. How did you figure out how to get your wholesaler's license, or did you ever?
I did. Being in California, I could drive to LA and go to the fashion district. And
Right?
I always just dressed these mannequins up and called them one of a kind and put my own. I did sew some of my own clothing, which is funny because I didn't know how they would wash. It was just, I just kind of did this thing, but it's what I've always dreamed of because nice shoes they are always my superpower. It's on stage or off stage. The shoes are what matter to me. It's how you walk and present yourself in a room.
Yeah, and those of you that you can't see the shoes that Kortney is wearing today, but they are at least 6 inches high, maybe taller. So she's definitely all about the shoes. And I thought I was a shoe girl. Girl, you got me beat. They're awesome. So was the dream always a dream? Were you in love with it the entire time, or did it become a nightmare for you? Like what happened?
I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved every part of it. But underfunding is what kills the
The dream,
entrepreneur
yeah.
and the dream. And where do you ask for funding? When you have pride? Do you want to call it failure? You're young. You don't have a lot of mentorship. And I see a 30-year-old business saying, we've been here 30 years. And I thought I should have been down the street asking this person how they did it instead of saying, I'm going to muscle through it. I'm going to bootstrap this. I'm going to, make this happen. Yes. Did I want to keep the store? Was it hard? Of course, because you can't be in a store and putting on a fashion show and doing your marketing when you don't have employees. And I mean, you have a lot to learn from accounting to you wear every hat as an entrepreneur when you're
Yeah.
undercapitalized.
Yeah.
And how do we take a risk on someone just from a score? Because if I knew me, I would have taken a risk on me. But if I knew my credit score after I had gone out of business, of course you're not going to take a risk because you think that this person might be threatening. So,
Well, and a couple of messages there. One, we really do have to know our credit score
yes,
and pay attention to it, right? Because
yes,
it is so important. So many decisions are based on that.
they are.
Funding decisions, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Even now.
It is. And that's why I don't like to always use the word algorithm, but changing the mental state of how underwriters look at our processing should be something of our future. And that's why I've really rebuilt around the structure of my business now, because I believe in philanthropy. I believe in the things that people are doing to mentor their offices. I believe how their growth patterns are and what they put into it and team. And those are big things. And sometimes you have to scale back to scale forward, but it shouldn't be based on your past. It should also be based on your future.
It's so hard, though. I can see it from a lending institution's point of view, though, because they're in the business of making profits as well,
Of course.
right? So it must be so like, how there is no way to measure someone's future success.
Right. So there is a way to navigate what they've been doing. Social media has really taken off for us. I mean, yes, people can, you can fake a website all day long, but you can't fake philanthropy. You can't fake going out and giving to your community. You can't fake being a part of different society, projects. And those are things that that's networking at its best because you're doing something that's selfless. And I think that we can start scoring humans, I would say humans or entrepreneurs, in a way where we give a little leverage to those things.
Okay. So you're advocating lending based on several criteria and not simply a credit score.
Yes.
It sounds to me it's analogous to SAT scores
Yes.
and kids going to college and just being admitted or not admitted based on an SAT score, right? Most colleges aren't doing that anymore. Most universities are looking at the whole person.
Yeah. I mean, when you're interviewing, people look and see if you were an athlete or if you were a team player. Some of the questions they ask are important. But if you think about an entrepreneur, if that's how they're putting food on the table, are they going to pay their personal bill or are they going to pay their staff? And so then you look at, okay, you might have a 580 credit score, but you kept your employees so they could feed their people, meaning they're taking care of your business because you picked them first.
Yeah. And I love that you said that because I owned a restaurant, opened it with no very little money anyway. And similar situation, there were several times throughout the 8 years that I owned it where I was in the red,
Yes.
but I made sure my employees got paid, and I would be always the last one. I mean, my mortgage might get paid late because I had to make sure payroll was covered.
Yep.
So I totally understand that. That's a really important point to make
It is.
because you're right. I mean, I kept the doors open for 8 years, but there were several times when it was, challenging during
Yep.
COVID, different things that would happen during that 8 years. It was out of your control.
It is.
So, yeah, interesting. So you say you chose legacy over comfort. What did that decision cost you, and what did it give you?
That is, going to get a little raw because I think it's important, mostly as an entrepreneur, because we don't put ourselves first most of the time.
Mhm.
Getting I was married close to 15 years, together 17, and my ex-husband worked with me, for me. And I realized we didn't have children. And one of the things that I did have is a team. And I wanted to make sure that I could give back legacy. And so what I did is I hired this mentor that I absolutely love. And she cost me very close to $200,000. I'm not going to lie. Very expensive mentor for my whole team. It was changing people to change your business, making them value themselves. 4 months into the program, the only change was me. And it was because no one else wanted to do the work. And I
Mm.
realized that the team around me was never going to build a legacy, including the closeness of my team at home. And so I disrupted my whole life because I believed in something bigger. I want change and I wanted to grow and I wanted to make myself better, but I also needed a team around me that believed in the better picture, not money. And money was always a fight or flight for me for many years, even though my company did very well. It was because I needed to take care of this team. And so I not only got a divorce, I let go of all of my employees. At the same time, we had a hurricane and disrupted my life. And then I rebranded my company and reinvented a couple other companies around the education and was able to put my feet on the ground and think, this didn't happen to me, this happened for me, but it takes a lot to get there. And so the mentorship was a huge part. And this is a mentorship that works with large companies, 750,000 employees over in the Middle East. She works with major corporations. This is not a small movement. But what I realized is the team around me was never going to take the legacy to leave on the table, something that I left to the younger generation, which is super important to me because I don't have children. And so when I realized that had to happen from the ground up, you rebuild. And then teaching people who have the credit scenarios, going into a place where I could have affected my whole life again with the credit issues I had in my 20s and knowing how to pivot very quickly and being able to teach people that pivot. It was a very core process of rebirthing.
So what do you want your legacy to be?
I want to leave the young entrepreneurs a gift of understanding not only the capabilities of money, but understanding how to use tax strategy because it is built for the entrepreneur. I want them to understand how to use marketing at their leveling up with marketing without having to pay to play for so long because there are things you can do to pay to play. Yes, we all do it, but valuing your own dollar and your own ability. I always say to anyone I'm teaching or mentoring, write yourself a check. What do you think you're worth? For 1 year of work, what do you think what was the highest amount you would pay yourself? And so when they write that check out and we value it down to the hour, what conversations are you having that are actually meaningful to that dollar that you're making? How are you valuing yourself? Is every conversation you are having a forward movement or something that you're doing to give yourself a win and a pat on the back? Because if you're not doing that, you can't move forward yourself. And so I want to give that to the hard working entrepreneurs. And when they have a COVID or a hurricane or something that makes them shut down, not to lose the mentality of winning because that shouldn't pivot who you are. It shouldn't define you.
It shouldn't be dependent on circumstance.
100,000%.
Right. Okay. I like that a lot. So was there a defining moment when you realized that traditional lending system needed to change?
Yes, when I was young. I also have clients that I took a chance on. So I used to do a lot of my own lending. So I
Yeah.
have my own portfolio and I invested in people, not necessarily the tangible item. And so there was a tow truck company that came to me and he had a very low credit score and wanted one truck. That's all he wanted. And the next thing you know, we have 12 trucks later and the guy is a $40 million contract for Disney and around the world. And we are in here, a staple here in Sarasota. We have a great underground utility contractor. And the first time they framed their $1 million check, they sent it to us because we were part of that and they were in the low rates because they had given everything they had on credit cards to open this
Oh,
business and not know that business credit was a thing and tax deductions and things like that. And so there are a couple defining moments that I think all of us in finance, banking, anything realize that there should be a change. But really, it's your relationship with money and who you're partnered with in your longevity of your business is who you really need to ask the questions to.
and I love this, and I love that you're a female in finance.
Yeah.
I mean, you see a lot more in the banking industry today, I think, but not as many in finance and wealth management.
Yeah.
Do you find that to be true?
There are a lot of women I know in wealth management just because I've been in those circles for a bit. But in the finance side, there is quite a few of us, but a lot of them are still in the background. They're in the credit processing or the
Right.
funding, and they don't get to come out front. They don't get to tell their story because they're doing the bulk of the work.
Right.
And so it's super important that women come out and know that there's ability to work in this path. And also there is crowdfunding and self-lending. I mean, you don't have to be a bank to be a lender. There are ways to make it an investment and future equity. So there's a lot of things that we can do to change the way our world
And
works.
I think we need to share with the listeners, maybe you can educate me a little more because I know that when I was looking for funding when I opened my restaurant, it was very hard. A, because most of the people that I went approached said, well, you do know that 90% of all restaurants fail in the first year, right? And I wasn't going to let that stop me because mine wasn't going to fail. And it didn't. So, but that being said, it was still very challenging. They would send me to small business, SBA for an SBA loan. They a small local bank gave me a small loan, but
Yeah.
enough for me to get some equipment that I needed for the restaurant. But it was really difficult. Of course, there was angel investing and all
Yeah.
this other stuff, but it's really hard to know where to turn. How do people find someone like you?
Well, I'm just a I guess, launch talk, but I did build a software that does walk you through the components of the different types of
Oh,
lending.
well, that's going to be
That
helpful.
is getting ready
That's
to
going to be
launch.
helpful because it's hard when
Yeah.
you're a first time entrepreneur and you're looking to do, for me, it's a fairly substantial
Yes.
first project and one that has a reputation of failure.
Yes. And we need to change the language around that as well. And so Capital Pulse is my software and I wanted it to be a pulse of the capital that you bring into your business and where do
Capital
you get it?
Pulse, Pulse,
Yes,
Pulse.
like the
Okay.
pulse of your
Mm,
heart, your business, your and capital is with a K.
mm,
So
yeah,
the software will align you to understand the terminology and what you're borrowing. So SBA, they take a lien on all of your assets. If you are to finance a piece of equipment on its own, we're only leaning the asset itself. And so you're not leaning the whole business if something were to fail. SBA might be inexpensive, but it's compounded interest. It's not simple interest. There's different tax deductions for that. So tax strategy being a part of that.
yeah.
There's a lot to learn. And so I did build it's about 120-page book. It's a full mentorship program. You'll be able to get it. We're getting ready for launch now, and so you'll be able
Good.
to reach out and buy a copy of that, or get into the software and have a copy available. But it will allow you to move, even if you're a startup business or a 20-year-old facility that you're capped because you've never borrowed enough money to borrow more. So we do have a client right now. He's a government contracts, $40 million company, can't borrow any more money, even though he needs additional equipment because
Mm.
he never borrowed enough and it's comparable debt as well. So it's not just small companies, it's big companies as well. So we all hit this point that we need a little education, but we educate a different way now.
Yeah, I mean, it's really fascinating because like I said, I went through it myself. And I remember, fortunately, I had a house at the time and I had to use my house as collateral.
Hmm.
But I always tell people I opened the restaurant with little to no money. I
Yep.
had no business doing it
Yep.
really, and still don't know how I was able to. I do know I had a landlord who believed in me, and he gave me 6 months free rent, and we found a way, right? And then
Yeah.
I had a lot of friends who did a lot of DIY and getting the walls painted and the
Yes.
wallpaper put up. So there was a lot of boots on the ground.
It's the dream.
you know
The time I always say there's no I in team, but there's I in time. And that's so important. And as an entrepreneur, you have to know how to say no because your time is the most valuable. And if you overdo it or you get to the point where you're so stressed, you can't, that stress comes out into your employees. It
Mm.
comes out into your team. It comes out in the way you manage. And then you hear employees say, "Oh, their management was so horrible." Well, try it the other side of it.
Yeah.
And so there's step to every way, but I think generating income is one thing, but having a relationship with what you really want
Yeah.
and the why is important.
100%. And I think the employees have a false narrative too. I think a lot of employees, I will speak for the restaurant industry, and maybe not all restaurants, but a lot of them, they think the owner is walking away with pockets full of money. They think we have all this cash to spend, and they're not seeing the taxes that need to be paid, the Social Security insurance, all of the other, bills that come through. For me, it was like the price of avocados changing every week or the price of tequila
Yeah.
going up and down. All of these variables that were outside of my control. You could only control rent,
Yeah.
fixed costs, right? So, but the employees are thinking, well, you're made all this money this particular day and you're busy and, why aren't we getting paid more? But they don't see the big picture,
Yeah.
right? So I think that that's challenging when you're behind the scenes trying
Mm.
not to let them see that you're drowning a little
Yeah.
bit, right? That you're not paying your
Yeah.
mortgage because you're making sure they have a paycheck. So it's an interesting, the whole financial world is interesting because in America, you want to be able to think that an entrepreneur can have the American dream,
Yeah.
right? And open their own business. But there are a lot of obstacles in our way to
Yes.
doing that.
So you have to really be an outside of the box thinker. And that's
Yeah.
why I wanted to put together this give back because I do have a free toolbox that allows each industry to have affiliate marketing.
That's
That's
great.
one small tool I can give anyone who's watching who is an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Affiliate marketing. You can become an affiliate with anything in your industry. Like if you're in the restaurant industry, you can be an affiliate with Toast, which does a POS system.
Right.
And if you have somebody sign up for it, you make $2,000 every time
Mm.
from your own market.
Yeah.
Put it out and have them click a link on your social media marketing and you get paid. Those are small little tips that pay for your admin. They pay for some of your marketing dollars on Facebook. But stay industry specific. Don't set up with 500, 1,000 affiliates because
Yeah.
your marketing won't go anywhere. So make sure it's real niche specific, but each person can do that. And there's tools out there from AI on that can help with SEO.
That is such a great tip. I would have never thought of affiliate marketing. That's a great tip.
Thank you.
No, it
I
really
have a
is.
full toolbox of those tips.
I think that's fantastic.
So
So you don't believe in the word declined,
I
which is
don't.
powerful. What does rejection actually mean in finance? And what does it mean in life?
I call it a detour and shifting gears.
In years. We're going to get into that too in just a minute.
I think this is only my own just from self-preservation, but I believe you walk this circle and it continues to get a little more intense if you don't walk outside of the circle every time you do anything. So
Yeah.
the detour is important. I don't call it a decline. I really don't like to call it just a failure. I like to call it a pivot out or a detour because once you take that detour, it was like when I made this decision, I knew how many people it would hurt. I knew I had to unravel my office. I knew getting a divorce would hurt my family. I knew all of these things, but the only person suffering was me. So how long did it take me to make this change? 30 seconds. It's like I always think Mel Robbins,
Let them.
let them and her 5-second rule.
Oh,
Well, 30 seconds it took me to make a decision for the rest of my life to walk through this different path. And that path has changed my belief system. It has changed my nervous system. It has changed a lot of things. So what are we holding on to that we could say no to today to make room for the yeses. And that's where I feel like our declines need to change that mentality. It's we hear decline instead of detour. We hear no instead of not today. And
Not now.
those are the changes in the language we need to use. And that person's opinion should never be a defining moment because that boss or someone who said no a million times to, or Michael Jordan missing however many baskets before he was able to make his baskets. And you think of the celebrities who have made it, they have heard no a million times. It's not that person who defines you. It's how far are you willing to go for your next yes? And so those are out there, but you have to be with people who have your same why.
Love that. That is so true. I'm finding that in my own
Yeah.
life right now. I mean, you have to surround yourself with people that you're aligned with.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But not just, I mean, emotionally, physically, all of it for
Yeah.
me, right? It's not just financially. What do most entrepreneurs misunderstand about credit and funding?
A score.
The score. Okay. Well,
Yes.
back to the score.
The score is not who you are or how we will lend. And so
Okay.
the score is a score. I don't care if it's 800, if all you have open is an Amex that you've paid on, that's $500. We're not going to give you a $500,000 piece of equipment
Mm.
or a $500,000 loan because you've only been able to pay a $500 trade line. So installment balances are really important, not credit cards, installment balances. Installment balances show that you can make a payment every month that is the same amount. And don't pay it off early. Your installment balances you are allowed to write off certain tax deductions, Section 179. There's certain things. So I think the misinterpretation of credit is the score. People think, I have this great score, I'm going to my bank. Well, when your bank takes a note, they will take you as a personal guarantee. They will lien your assets. There's a lot of things that happen. So the score might be driven in some places, but mostly it's about your credit depth. And so make sure that you have on there a mortgage and a car payment that you've paid over 24 months. We don't want to see somebody who just took out 10 things of debt and that looks like a bankruptcy waiting to happen. We look at it and say, you just took all this debt and you have great credit. You've paid on it for 12 months, but we don't have longevity. So open something, keep your oldest trade line open. Start your business credit by using your tax ID. It's 9 numbers, just like your social, and put your phone system under there, put your energy under there, and start building your business credit slowly. Get yourself a small business card, even if it's secured, so you can build your business credit and use your tax ID and protect yourself with an LLC or an S corporation. Make sure that you're not aligned in your business unless it's a hobby with your social because you have no security over it.
That's really good advice. So let's go back a little bit. We just talked about turning no into a detour instead of a dead end. What advice, how would you tell somebody to do that? So say that I was, I don't know, wanting to be a speaker, for example, in this new field that I'm in, and people say, no, no, no. Like I recently just applied for TEDx talks. Okay. I still want to be on a TEDx stage. Well, I've already gotten all no's, right? For the ones that I applied to. So how would you advise somebody like me would I just give up or would you just say, not now, keep going? And then how would
I always think of it as a workout. I guess the biggest thing, the obstacle is climbing over the wall, right?
Yeah.
We try to get over that wall. You're going and you're doing a Tough Mudder or something.
Yeah.
And you're doing
by the
not,
way,
not fun. not fun. Yes. And they're hard.
They're hard.
Do you get over the wall? Do you have a team helping you push or do you break the wall open? Who are you in that specific moment?
Yeah.
Who are you in that moment? When you have a team and you're trying to push forward or you're doing a bus pull or whatever it is, that Tough Mudder or that race, you're going to finish it. Not when you're doing it yourself.
Right. You're right.
But when you're doing
climbing over the wall, I had somebody that had to reach and pull me over.
So if you're trying to become a speaker,
Mm-hmm.
I did that for years and my friend put me on a stage and I realized I didn't prepare. And so I put every 500 people through a meditation because I needed it. And everyone in that room was meditating. And I was like, wow, this is kind of cool.
You actually said we're going to meditate?
I said, because I had just taken yoga and I knew how to make people, help people meditate. So I walked them through that because I had to change my transition. Okay. And I had to read the room. Then I thought, Why not build my own room? Build your own room if you can't become a part of that table.
Okay.
Build your own wall if you can't get over the one that they provided. Build
I love
your
that.
own with the surroundings that you have, because everyone's story, regardless if it's business or personal, someone relates. And those are the people who want to learn from you. We're all here as humans to help each other grow. So no matter what, whether it's business or not, we're in business together anytime you have clients, because you're relatable to them. You understand them in some way, shape, or form. You have something relatable, whether it's kids, sports, doesn't matter. So get out of the box and realize that you're relatable and you can do anything you want. And if you earn that stage, you feel like you earned that stage, say it. And so my mentor at the time, going back to her and you and the public speaking, I was asked to be on a big stage in Vegas with Ben Newman, Ed Milet, Justin Gatlin, Olympic athlete. He beat Usain Bolt 7 years out of retirement. And he told us his story, and it was unbelievable. And I'm following these men who are huge on stage. And I had everyone stood up and gave me a literal applause on the stage. And I was asked to be a sponsor. And I said to the guy who asked me to become a sponsor, I said, I've earned my place on the stage. And I was so afraid that he wasn't going to email me back. And my mentor had told me, just tell me you belong on that stage. And I said, I belong on the stage. Okay. And I practiced and I went. And by the time I got off the stage, I was financing things for the video crew and everyone. I had 98% success rate of click through for people wanting more. And I thought I deserved that stage as much as any of the Olympic athletes and anyone else. It's mindset. It's 100% mindset.
But how did you get yourself there? How did you get do you not struggle with negative self-talk, or were you just
Oh my gosh,
so
are you kidding me?
confident? No,
Yeah.
no, I'm not kidding you, because I'm
Yes.
like, okay, first of all, I don't know what the road was that led you to that stage and what the path was and how you got there. I'd be curious to hear that.
Mm.
Um, because you don't just go from being in front of a group and teaching them how to meditate to being on stage in Vegas, right? Well, walk me through that path. And then how did that feel after, when they all applauded
Amazing.
you?
It was amazing.
Were you the only woman on the stage?
There was one other,
Wow.
Dr. Gabrielle Lyons, unbelievable.
Tell me the backstory. What
So I
took you to
met
get
Ben
there?
Newman. I was asked to do David Meltzer's 2-minute drill in
Okay.
California. He's a sports radio person, and
Yeah.
I had just done an interview in Vegas. So I flew there to do the show. And he was sitting at the table next to me, and we both had I grew up where Michigan State is. He went to Michigan State. We became friends. And he called and said, hey, I would love to see if you want to sponsor. I'm having this big event. And I was like, no, I want a stage. I want the stage. But it's not, I guess you think of it this way. We could sit in the morning, we could wake up and think about, lost a lot of weight. When I was in my marriage, I gained a lot of weight because of everything from hormones to being miserable. And let's not lie. And then I was able to be mindful about those things and lost a lot of weight. And so it's like you get up in the morning, you could think, "Ah, can't eat that," or beat yourself up over it. Or you could be mindful, have what you ate, take a long walk. It's about your mindset completely 100%. It doesn't matter if you're going on stage. It's like wake up in the morning, even though everything was devastating, losing my business name after 16 years, my ex, roof, no insurance. I mean, it was no insurance paying me back for all of the tragedy. I could wake up every morning and think about the tragedy, or I could think about how I change it. It's not about the back moment. I always say rhino is my favorite animal. It's my mascot because it has thick skin and doesn't walk backwards. So rhino is always my elite animal.
I
And
love
so
that.
be a rhino in
Be a
your world.
rhino.
Wake up and be a rhino. Don't think about what could not happen, because if we spent our time thinking about what could happen and the positive things, that we're not always going to be positive every day. Take all the negative things, write it down and put it in your glove compartment of your car and take it out when you want to check off your list. Outside of that, it's out of your control. Do what you can do today. And that's, do I want to wake up in a good mood? Yeah, probably. Let's wake up in a good mood today.
Yeah.
Or do I want to wake up and just be like, it's going to be a hard day. The only reason it's ever a hard day is because you're not doing what you should be doing. And that's your own mentality and mindset. You don't want to take a call from a client? Every time my phone rings, I know it's money or something that's going to be thriving in my future. Yes, I want to take that phone call.
Love that.
So
Yeah.
those are the things that got me on that stage because I did deserve that stage. And then I was scared to death. I
Yeah.
have never been that
Yeah.
scared in my
I was
life.
going to say that takes tremendous courage.
But I got out there with those heels and it was a superpower. I did not fumble. I did not anything. And I walked up that stage feeling like the biggest powerhouse I've ever felt like. And I said, I belong here. And it's a different feeling.
Yeah.
So earn and own your stage.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be a big one. It could be a circle of 8 people. And you can start it just by putting a group on Facebook that you believe on.
Right.
And have people come to a meetup and build your own stage if you can't get on the ones that you want.
I love that. I love that. So have you done any since?
I have. I've done quite a few. I've done quite a few things. I'm like, I've done a lot. Yes, I had 2 TV shows, New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ, which was really crazy because I kept thinking my father's rolling over in his grave thinking I'm giving financial advice on TV on the NASDAQ. But you know what? It was amazing. And I've done some other stage appearances, but now I roll in smaller crowds because it's not about me or my ability to show people I could do this, which I think at first it was like, I did it. I made it. Everybody see.
Yeah.
But now it's about what is here for me. It's really a different feeling. So I want it to be small, intentional crowds of people that I want to do life with. And then when someone wants me to become a part of that group, I want them to authentically want me and invite me to be there, or else I want to build my own and my own people that I'm with, like you. And
No, I absolutely love
stage.
that because a phrase that keeps coming up for me lately is people have to earn a seat at your table.
Yeah.
And so you're right. If they haven't earned it, create your own table.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so great. So you say collaboration is the new currency.
Yes.
What does that look like in practical terms?
Well, look at us.
I know we're collaborating.
Well, I
We
think
just
the way we
started.
met was collaboration. So we'll
True.
get into, that a bit, but you and I have a similar interest in companies.
Yeah.
And instead of just saying, wow, she's my competition, I invited you to the table. And collaboration is what we're doing. And now we're watching it manifest and grow. Even though it's separate, it's also growing together. And
Oh, yeah.
that's collaboration at its best.
It's exciting too, right? I mean, it's so much better when you have collaboration and cooperation versus competition. It's just the energy is
is.
different.
It is because you want to
So
see everyone win.
exactly.
And you win with a team,
Yeah.
not an I.
And there's enough for all of us.
There
I think
is.
some people feel like there isn't, right? And that there's only one piece of the pie, but there's a whole pie.
There is. And who
Yeah.
wants the whole piece of a pie? That's a lot of pie. And it's a lot to have to conquer. And it's a lot of time out of your day. Go live your life and expand the pie. Let everybody have a little piece.
I love that. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So how can entrepreneurs build networks that actually create opportunity instead of just optics?
I really think opportunity comes from starting in your own town.
Yeah.
And that's where you start. I did it a bit backwards because I worked East Coast hours when I was on the West Coast. And so I built based on, but it was still relationship based, vendor relationship based. And so a lot of trade shows and things like that. So you can meet people in person. But I think your business starts where you live. And the collaboration starts with your community.
Yeah, it's all within a 10-mile radius
Yep.
sometimes, right? What separates the dreamers from the people that actually do the work that sticks?
Their 1 hour routine as soon as they wake up.
1 hour. Okay, so tell me what that is. What should our 1 hour routine
What do you do
be?
the second you wake up?
The second I wake up, I get out of bed and go to the bathroom. That's a very, I have,
Well, I mean,
empty-
besides
yeah.
that.
After I empty my bladder, then I go and make my coffee.
Yes.
That's the first thing I do. Then when my coffee's made, I want to see what's happening in the world. So I turn the news on. Well, I do one of two things. I either turn the news on or I go outside and I sit because I have a beautiful view here. And I sit and I think about what my day, I make an intention for the day. So I do
Perfect.
one of those two
Exactly.
things. Yeah.
So I wake up and I basically think the universe, God, everyone that I'm here. I'm like, thank you for letting me have another day. And then I feed my animals. I do all the things, make
Yeah.
my coffee.
It's true. I do feed
and-
the animals
yes.
first. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And then I grab my journal
Okay.
because I believe that writing down grace, gratitude, and your goals are the most important part of your morning. If it's not written down, I actually put a whiteboard in my gym instead of a mirror in front of me. So I do write all of my goals in the morning. But I think what sets the doers and the dreamers apart is accomplishing those goals. And so what is stopping you from bridging the gap between your goals? So if you have a 30-day goal, like it could be as small as I want to lose 2 pounds, or it could be I want to build a business plan. And so what is stopping you from those goals? Is it going to be where can you buy time? Okay, everybody says I'm so busy, I'm so busy. Well, I stopped social media completely to build
Oh,
the goals for 30
so
days. I can be on social media when I am doing this or this. And it's 15 minutes a day, and I put myself on timeout. Now I realize I haven't even rebranded my social media because I'm not on it so often. And I was on it so much. And that scrolling time, looking at everybody else who are building their dreams.
such a time suck.
It is. Small things also at night. I used to get into a show. I love a binge a Netflix series. And now I put on YouTube mind stimulation, black screen or mind stimulation channel. And so really being mindful on yourself, because you can't work in the morning if you work till 3 in the morning and then have to do your real job while you're trying to create this other position. And I found myself doing that recently. So going back to where can I take out the components that are not driving me forward. And then I also have taken a lot of people out of my life. And that has been my own goals. But what are yours? 30, 60, 90 days. What are those goals? And 1 year from today, if you do something for 18 minutes a day, one thing that you want to learn, let's say it's kayaking, 18 minutes a day for 1 year makes you an expert. 18 minutes a day is less than 20 minutes a day that we do scrolling things, or I look for my glasses probably that much and they're on my head. So what can you take out of your day to make your dreams become reality? And so those few minutes a day make you an expert at something.
I call them micro habits.
Yes.
They're micro habits that you can integrate, like you said, into your morning routine or someplace in your day
Yep.
that will turn into
Agreed.
a ritual.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great advice. I love that. So give me a micro habit that you think, would it be journaling? What do you think is something super easy that somebody could incorporate right away? Or is it goal dependent?
I actually think, I mean, in the morning to take that time, 1 hour for yourself. If you look at Oprah Winfrey, you look at Tony Robbins, you look at, Richard Branson, you look at any of the top
High
people
achievers.
and
Yeah.
you ask them what they do differently. They are thankful, they give gratitude, they get rid of what doesn't belong, and they write down their morning. And it's either write it down, say it into your notes, do something with it, go and just have a mantra when you're taking a walk. But if you don't take that hour to yourself and you start off with a stress moment, if you ask how to live until you're to be 140, it's not going to be health. It's not going to be this. It's going to be your ability to create less stress in your life. The only way to do that is to mindset your day and how you want it set up. What are you going to take out of there? And so it could be as simple as changing your phone for your business to a voice over IP instead of your cell phone, so you can cut it off at the end of the day. So the little goal would be in the morning, make sure that you have your mindset right. One tiny change every single day. That takes 5 minutes. How is my mindset going to be today? Write down a word that you want, and that it starts from there.
Yeah, that's a good change. Should be an easy one for most people to incorporate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So if someone today listening feels financially disqualified from their dream, what would you say directly to them?
I would say look at all of your surroundings, look at your phone. And I always say, look at your phone. And the only reason is there anyone in your phone who has done what you want to do in your life or has financially made it to a point where you want to make it in your life? If you can't call someone in your phone that is a millionaire and that's your goal, then you're in the wrong crowd.
You're in the wrong circles. Yeah.
And
So how do you get in those rooms? This is another podcast I was listening to recently that said you have to get yourself in the room.
Yep. But
So-
we're not a tree. And so we can move around. We can go to events that are near us. There's everything from trade shows to events to sports to whatever it may be. But find what the habits are of the people around.
So, and I want to add to that because one of the things he said on this other podcast was that And you said it earlier, you need to invest in yourself. So if it means you have to go to a gala and invest in a
Yes.
seat to get at a table,
Yep.
then that's an investment in you and your business.
Yep.
And it's also usually goes to a good cause.
Yep.
So those are things, that's just one way that you can get in the room.
There are so many ways. I mean, there's everything from, I mean, my friend recently just took a cabaret she's in her mid 50s and hasn't danced since she was 8 and thought, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
But the women
Yeah.
and the quality of life that she gave herself by doing this, and you're hearing other people's stories, and then they're all business owners, and it's like, get in the crowd where you want to belong. And that's what I used to do when I had zero money. I would have a pair of shoes that I absolutely couldn't afford, but I knew I could resell. And I would always walk into the rooms that I felt I belonged in. And nobody knew underneath the layers of clothing and everything that I had this heart that was bleeding for more. And my pride was ruined, but it really wasn't, because I still belonged in those rooms. And I still today belong in those rooms, but now I want to create the rooms, because every person has worth. And some people don't use their like voice, but they might be able to sing, or maybe there's spoken word poetry, or maybe there's art. There's always ambition that we can create knowledge through. And so if that's your speed, you don't need to go on a podcast or be in front of people or wear a loud outfit, but maybe you show off in, a poetry class or something like that. So there's differences for different people. There's trade shows and mental movement forward with every industry, because you see people going out to these weekend events and they're trying to better themselves. And so
I have to ask, because you just light up when you talk about giving back to others. Where does this come from for you? Where does this need for service come
it's so crazy. I don't know if it was because in my younger years, I was maybe a bit selfish. I would think
Yeah.
I'm 100,000% a humanitarian. And I think it's really from meeting these unbelievable humans in 20 years of finance who have built their lives around their companies. And I've watched them in their being in finance. You're really deep. It's like your doctor. I always say, don't lie to your doctor, your attorney, or me, because we're gonna find out. But it really is the feel of knowing what they've put in to their life. I've watched people lose not just businesses, but marriages and companies. And I mean, it's a heartfelt thing, because you know what they've done when you're doing the same type of work. And I've met, I call them beautiful strangers. So through this time, I did go through, I guess, a self-reflection time of, why is this happening to me, instead of why did I choose this for me?
Right.
Because I chose this. But the beautiful strangers that came out of the woodwork were not the people who had the big businesses, or who had taken hundreds of thousands of dollars for marketing from me, or the people who said that they're by your side to, you know, all these things. They were these beautiful strangers who had zero tie to need anything from me, or never taken anything from me. And I met people who had cancer who gave more, like during times that I couldn't believe. Here I am thinking, I can't believe I'm crying because I have no fence, but I don't want to see my neighbor's yard, and it's my privacy. And I have somebody who doesn't even have a home and just lost his kids coming over and helping. And those are the reasons that I think giving back, because what I learned from this one gentleman was I restored my faith in not just humans, but the faith in everything that I haven't had in a long time. And so that was real restorative for me. And also realizing that I didn't have to check my emails. He would say, you don't need to check your emails. You need to relax because your shoulders hurt, because the tension. And I thought, he gave me a different mindset. There was frequency music and things like that. And that beautiful stranger, if I had not given that beautiful stranger a chance to help me, I would have never learned some of the things that I can take to the table. And so I do believe that humanitarian spirit is something that we need more of, because it makes us feel better than anything we'll ever do taking it in.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You're in a pay it forward
Yeah,
mindset. I love that.
I love it.
It's beautiful. So we talked a lot about what got you here. So let's talk about where you're going. Shall we?
Sure.
Shall we talk about our collaboration a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about Bad Girl Garage.
Oh my gosh, it was the manifestation.
So let's just say Kortney with a K likes fast cars.
I
right?
do.
Yeah.
I do. And that's how
Yeah.
you and I met, which is
Yeah.
so cool.
cars too.
Yes.
So my husband is starting a company, Sarasota Motor Club, and our mutual friend
Yes.
connected us
Yes.
and she said, I have a friend who's doing something similar. I think y'all should meet. And we hit it off immediately.
Yes.
So yeah, so tell us a little bit about what you're doing. What's going on?
So again, another, I guess you would say detour, shifting gears. I'll say shifting gears in this one.
Yeah.
I had a beautiful vehicle, and as I went through some of the, downfall, I thought, I don't want to lose my vehicle. I've 1 year I traveled 40 times for public speaking, TV, all these things.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, even when you're traveling and doing these big things, you're never in a group that you're going to dinner by yourself if you're traveling by yourself. You're going to maybe a bar seat or whatever, and you're trying to find something where you feel comfortable, mostly as a woman traveling. And so I thought maybe I'll rent my car. And then I created Bad Girls Garage. So Bad Girls Garage is not a car rental company. It's coordinating with local clubs as well as local people who are doing the high-end rentals to bring vehicles into spaces where women feel comfortable and they can be a part of something that would be not just mentorship, but forward movement, using each other's minds, thinking of also partnering with, places like clay and fashion companies to come in. If you're coming in and doing a speaking event, I want them to have the space to collaborate, have a nice outfit, place to hang your hat, and instead of a locker, a white glove compartment. And so Bad Girl Garage will have the pre-launch on Saturday, and you guys have been a huge support and also helping me with the cars and things like that. Yeah. So we're really excited about our future together and creating this women's club here. Yeah. So when they come and visit us, they can have a place to hang their hat.
What's your long-term goal for Bad Girls Garage?
National. I would like actually, I would love it throughout the world. Global. I would love a global. So each state, I would like to have a chart. And so badgirlsgarage.ai is launched. It's not finalized, but it is there. And it shows a little inside of what we're looking to do. And we would like to, charter throughout the country first and then global, and be able to maybe get some of these women who love these fast vehicles to go on some race trips together, which would really be amazing, and build our own stages in our own clubs.
Fun. See, she's building her table.
Yeah, building the table.
I love it. So what can people expect? Is it invite only? Can people still attend? It's invite only. Okay.
This one is invite only. It's at Lamborghini here in Sarasota. And the reason we're doing it that way is because it's coupling onto another event, which we're having, which is a really great event. But the next Bad Girls Garage will be at either a racetrack or a social club. And it will be invite only for people who set up first. And that will be in the pre-launch. We'll have a landing page for it this week.
So fun.
Yes.
I'm really looking forward to this. All right. What else do you want to share? Is there anything else before we close? What else? So Kortney, you've gone through your divorce. You're now dating again. And you are such a powerhouse woman. I mean, you have just done so much. You've got such a great mindset. Do you find it hard to meet men? Are men turned off by that? Are they threatened by it? What are you finding when you are out there in the dating world? Or are you not dating?
I actually am.
Okay.
And it's been interesting. There's been a little bit of everything out there.
Yeah.
But what I've learned the most is saying yes to everything that I truly deserve, instead of the possibility of what they could become. And I don't like to say that lightly, because I do believe that don't look for potential, I'll be 50 this year. I'm not looking for potential. I'm looking for someone who has already done what they said they're going to do. I'm looking for someone to show up. I like someone to show up daily. I mean, if you're going to show up for me, show up for me. And that's important to me. And if I see less, I'm not going to disrupt my own space or peace. And so for me, it would take basically a man that would be very similar to me, having a lot of accomplishments and things that they strive for, but also letting me be the person I am. I don't like to say type A or.
Well, you don't want someone that's going to dim your light.
I don't want them to dim my light. And I also want to be able to respect them as a male figure that I can grow with. I want them to also have ideas and teach me things. And so with that said, I have gone out with quite a few people different times, and we've had some sort of interaction where it's been good. And then it's very easy, on Instagram, they call it the ick. Like one quick thing can say ick. But I've met a couple really amazing men out of this as well that have either become friends or we'll see what happens in the future, but they have their lane, but they also enjoy yours. And so I will never allow in my space someone who dims that light.
That's fantastic.
It's
Well,
hard.
but it's also interesting because I read online a couple of days ago that a lot of women in our season of life are choosing to stay single and that was one of the questions, I guess it was posed, is that, do women still need men because our generation is different than the one before us in that many of us are financially independent now, right? And that is something we used to need
Yeah.
a man to take care of for us.
I think need and want are big, that's where we need to
distinction
because I want to share my life with somebody eventually.
Right.
I want to cook for a man. I am not a feminist, even though I'm big on women and empowerment, because I love the man to be the man. I like to be held on to like a woman. I like
the
to
male energy.
I do. And I think that is a very masculine and sexy thing. And I don't ever want the man because a lot of men, they get washed out in this. And it's unfortunate for them because I feel like they feel that they can't do anything right if we give them that energy.
Yeah.
And I feel before, when I was younger, I probably went out with men that I thought were strong, but I might have dimmed their light because of where I am. But now I'm ready and willing to help bring their light back because I don't want to dim their light either. They are men. They deserve to be comforted, loved, cared for, and also complimented. And that's, there is a way, shape, and form in all of it. And none of us are perfect. We're human, but I definitely think that the dynamic, if you can sit back a bit and take, I'm not trying to be what I was trying to be when I was 20.
Yeah.
I've already done those things. Yeah. I'm trying to actually come down to a ground level and say, this is who I am. And I want to feel that femininity. Yeah. So it is become easier when you know what's in your heart and where you can go to let a man kind of lead.
So Kortney, now we're hanging out like two girlfriends, which I love. It's a favorite part of my show. So I do have to ask, what's the sexiest thing a man can do to make you feel good?
Oh my God.
And I'm not talking about in the bedroom, although if you feel like going there. No, but what is the sexiest thing? Like I can think of a couple of things. What would you say?
I love eye contact. I love eye contact. Yeah. It's so important to me. I like somebody who's actually engaged into your conversation
and not looking at their phone.
Right. And I do not like small talk. So I like somebody who can lead with teaching me something or talking to me about something with substance, and someone who also gives back. I think that there's a lot of sexy parts. I love a man's hands. I love to look at a man's hands as if they're clean, I love a nice hand, but I think sexy would be eye contact and being present.
So what is it about the hand? What are you looking for? Strength? Is symbolism of strength for you? What is it about the hand? Yeah, you think so?
I think so. I mean, I lost my father in 2015 and he was my big strength. He always took very good care of his hands. And, and holding your hand or putting his arm around you or, I could get a little deeper than that.
Oh, but safety.
I like a safe looking and feeling hand. And I also like a clean hand. But I think a hand symbolizes strength and taking care of yourself. And, and also like how you're going to hold hands. I just remember, and I hate saying this about my, one of my people in the past, but his hands were too chubby to hold on to. So it's like you couldn't actually grip. And maybe that's where the disconnect came. But
and the handshake, I think the handshake matters too. Like it has to be firm. For me, I want there to be some confidence.
But I do. I like the confidence, like hands on the small of your back, or like making you a coffee in the morning. That's a very simple thing. Just a little tiny thing goes such a long way.
Yeah. What a great way to start the day.
Yeah.
I know. Well, they would think other ways are better.
Yeah.
At least my husband would.
But you know what? I begged my ex to make me a coffee for 15 years and he never would.
Yeah.
And so to wake up and have that done is a really amazing thing.
Yeah, it's such a small gesture, but it shows that you're thoughtful and that you're
Yeah.
caring. You want your other partner to start their day off right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. All right, speed round. Ready?
Yep.
Biggest myth about money?
That it's going to make you happy.
Yeah, we've heard that one, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't make you happy. Well, can make life easier
Can make life easier if you use it the
if
right
you
way.
use it right. Right. What is the best financial advice you've ever received?
Take money off the table and take the roof off the ceiling and build something without monetary value that means something to you, and then start from the bottom. Because if you build something without money as the obstacle, you will be amazed at what you create.
Amen. What's the worst financial mistake you've ever made?
Man, shoes.
I don't think so. Look at your legs. I don't think so. I'm disagreeing with that. There's no mistake in the shoe. Collaboration or competition? I already know the answer.
Collaboration.
Easy. Comfort or courage?
Courage.
Easy. One word that defines your leadership style.
Raw.
Ooh, raw. Tell me more.
I always do.
Tell me more.
Yes, very raw. I don't like non-integrity. And so I don't beat around the bush. I'm going to tell it how it is.
I love that about you.
Yeah.
I do. I
And
love that about you.
It's raw.
If your life were a book title right now, what would it be?
Chaos to capital.
Chaos to Capital with a KK.
Yep. Yeah.
I love it. All right, Kortney, we're done. What I love about this conversation is that you're not just funding businesses, you're funding belief. You're redefining what rejection means and proving that sometimes the detour is exactly where the breakthrough lives. If there's one thing I'm taking from today, it's this. Not everyone has a perfect credit story, and that's okay. Because legacy isn't built on perfection, it's built on courage, collaboration, and the willingness to try again. Thank you for showing us that collaboration truly is the new currency. And to everyone listening, if you've ever felt declined in any area of your life, maybe it's not a denial, maybe it's a redirection. Thanks, Kortney, for being here.
Thanks, Sharon.
This was so much fun.
Yes.